Welcome to Robotics Roundtable on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM, featuring area robotics teams and special guests in the robotics world. Robotics Roundtable is supported by Berrien Springs Public Schools, together inspiring students to think, learn, achieve, and care in a global community. Cook Nuclear Plant. Explore careers at aep.com/careers. South Haven Public Schools, inspiring success in learning, leadership, and life. And Lakeshore Public Schools, supporting and offering STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, grounded in tradition, committed to excellence.
Hello and welcome to Robotics Roundtable on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM. I am your host, Tim Dunai. We meet here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. to discuss high school robotics with teams from Southwest Michigan area. You can also catch any of our high school robotics roundtables discussions you've missed on WSJM.com as a podcast, or see the video of our discussion on WSJM's Facebook page. Today, we are doing some of our special series where we're not meeting just with teams, but we're meeting with some of the people who help make first, who bring energy to the table. And I can't think of two people who bring more energy to the table, whether they mean to or not, than our two guests today. And I will tell you that my experiences through traveling in Michigan, I bumped into them at First Tech Challenge events, which are the middle school events, first robotics competitions at the high school level. And actually one of these people, Tom, we'll meet Tom, but the first time I ever went to the championships in St. Louis, I got out of the car, and as I was walking into the building, he was the very first person that I saw. And here I am seeing a person from Michigan while I'm in St. Louis. And it just the energy that he had in our conversation there led all the way into the building. So without further ado, I'm going to let them introduce themselves and how long they've been involved with First, what their roles are in First, and professional career, what they do. So we'll start with, I referenced Tom, so we'll start with Tom.
Hi, Tom Nader, First in Michigan. I take care of logistics. I've been in First. Oh, this will be my 25th year. That's why I really want to play this year.
Wow.
I want that 25-year pin. Let's see, I was on the Team 67, the hot team, the Heroes of Tomorrow. I was on them for like 14 years. And then the rest of my time has been doing game announcing and taking care of logistics, getting 5 fields with my friends around the state of Michigan to put on 29 events.
So you've got a lot of travel that you do just in a regular season, a normal season.
Quite a bit.
Good. So remind me, the hot team, where are they out of?
Right here in Milford, where I live.
Okay. Okay.
They're sponsors the General Motors Proving Ground. Okay. Where I work. I work in vehicle safety and crash worthiness. I get to crash cars. No.
You get to crash cars, or you put a crash dummy in the car and let the crash dummy crash the car?
Well, the dummies, no, we actually crash the cars with the dummies inside, and they tell us, a couple hundred items on the human body between, ribs and pelvis and tibias and fibulas, pelvis, the head, the neck, all the vertebrae, and they give us a very detailed analysis of, how the human body reacts in a low speed or even a high speed crash, a rollover or whatever. It's rather a rewarding job.
So there's a lot of data analysis, in which that leads to, we'll come back to that and talk to a little bit maybe, but the data analysis that we see a lot of our teams do when we're at a competition, different type of data point. We don't want as much crashing and booming, but knowing how to grab data and then analyze that data. I also want to let our other guest introduce himself. Mr. Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian Graham. I've been in First. The first year I competed was in 2002. I was the head coach of Team 862 Lightning Robotics out of Canton, Michigan. And so this would have been my 20th year in First. And I was head coach of Lightning for, 8, 9 years. And then I transitioned over to doing volunteer at the competitions.
Okay.
And one of the other coaches in Lightning was a guy by the name of Dave Nolf, and he used to run all the volunteers for the the state at that time. And this was shortly after we had switched to district, and he needed more MCs, so he recruited me. And so I've been MCing now since 2011. That was my first season. So this would have been my 11th year MCing at the events.
So I'm curious of two things. For professional, what's your background, degree, or what do you do professionally?
So my degree is in mechanical engineering. I grew up in Ohio, so don't hold that against me. But I came up here. I went to U of M, and my bachelor's and master's are in mechanical engineering. And I worked in automotive for quite some time, doing mechanical engineering and being a team lead and things like that. And then more recently, I've switched over and I work on small robots now.
Okay.
And I've actually switched to more of a systems engineering role, which is a little bit different. It wasn't my educational background, but systems engineering is kind of corralling all the cats running in different directions. So I'm figuring out requirements, things like that.
I understand that role of, as a judge advisor, herding cats has kind of become kind of a thing I need to do. I want to go to one thing that you mentioned there, Brian, where you were a part of, or you were a coach for a team. And then you stepped away into this role, this other volunteer role, which I thought was funny. You said you went to a volunteer role. Well, if a coach isn't a volunteer, I don't know what is a volunteer.
Well,
but
right. When I was a coach, I thought coaching, if you want to volunteer with first, you coach.
Right.
It wasn't until later that I realized, I don't know, I just, blinders on, I guess. I was thinking, running a team, helping students build a robot. And it wasn't until later that I realized that there are a ton of volunteers who help make these events happen. And it is a whole nother world of volunteer work being at the events. So I'm an event volunteer now, as opposed to a coach volunteer. And I love it. It's like a whole nother team.
That's what I was going to ask, is because I'm a judge advisor, and I've been a judge and a judge advisor, and helped. Tom and I have worked with doing the Sunset Coast FTC event here in Coloma. I have never been a mentor for a team. Not my son, who is a judge that Brian's working with now, doing some judging. The program started here in St. Joseph High School the year after he graduated. So it just missed him. His involvement has been as a judge also, but I don't think I could be a volunteer with just a team, a coach for a team, because I enjoy being able to work with all the teams. I have no problem being the vocal person to draw attention to everything that is happening with First and Southwest Michigan. And so that piece, I think you hit it there. It's a different level of connection with the teams. And Tom, you've got to be, I've kiddingly referred to you as the voice of robotics in Southwest, in Michigan. There's Ernie Harwell and Paul Carey. So you two are my Ernie Harwell and Paul Carey today. But Tom, talk a little bit about how your interaction with teams and the students, and over the years, as they go from being students to being adults that are with teams, and maybe even bumping into them in professional career.
I've watched a lot of kids grow up, and become adults, go off to college, and come back. They volunteer, they start teams. My boys, I have 4, have started teams, managed or coached teams. One son, Scotty, he's pretty high up in GM now, but he hasn't had the time to be a coach, so he volunteers as a judge.
Okay.
And then Mark, he's like the head ref, and Dustin's had a couple of teams. Lath has a couple of teams. My wife takes care of the junior Legos, or I think it's called Discover now.
Yeah, I was going to say, we cannot forget to mention Cindy. She may be off camera, but I think because Brian and I interact with you, we know that you do what Cindy says you need to do, and you do it as quickly as she says you need to.
In a timely manner, yes.
Exactly.
But, seeing the kids, we've hired a few here at General Motors. I've recommended to some of my competitors in the automotive world, other, students that have stood out
Mhm.
that I've watched for years, and they're more than deserving. It's like you got that pile of resumes, and you got through them. They go, oh, this, they were on the Engineers. Well, I'll give Clinton Brandy a call.
Yeah.
Or, they were on 117 or 107.
Okay.
Well, that's Bobby Bonzak's team. I can call
That's
him.
so. Have you run into that also, Brian, where people may know you in the community or know your involvement in First, and they ask? I've had that the very same thing come up, so I'm just kind of curious if you run into that also.
Yeah, absolutely, and not so much when I was a coach, but
Mhm.
now that I'm at the events and I see such a wide variety of the teams, and I get to know a lot of the students on the teams, especially for the folks that come down to the field. I'm asked all the time for advice or questions about First and how it would impact hiring somebody. Is this person was in First and they've said this? Is that true? Could a high school student have done this? And I'll take a look and say, oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally believable.
Yeah, and is it? I know for me, I very much enjoy being able to make that connection with a potential employer and even let them refer back to the coach or something like that. I don't know. How about you guys?
Well, I was looking more at scholarships, like Kettering. They got 50 some odd scholarships now.
Right.
Fantastic job that Bobby's doing up there. And he just more and more and more. I mean, one year we were having breakfast down in Atlanta and he was crying, in his eggs. I go, what's the matter? He goes, I messed up. I go, what'd you mess up on? And he goes, the scholarships. And I go, well, at this time it was like, you promised 10. He goes, yeah, no problem on the 10. I go, so what's the problem? He goes, well, the need was so great and the applications were fantastic. I'm giving out 13. I go, so what's the problem? He goes, well, the president of the university is coming down here and he's mad. And I'm going, mad? You just brought on 3 more quality students that are leaders, all right, that bring one tremendous skill set,
right?
And after they graduate, they become alumni.
Yeah, I have a friend who was from actually a couple years ago, 2 years ago, the Thunder Chickens, which are Utica Community Schools team. I went to Utica Community Schools. Robotics did not exist when I graduated, but they were with the Brighton Bulldogs, Techno Dogs, right? Is that correct?
Yes, Techno Dogs out of Brighton.
And they won the championship while we were at Ford Field. So that was the first time I ever saw a team I rooted for win at Ford Field the championship. The Lions might not ever help me with that, but one of my elementary school and high school alums, his son was on that team from Brighton. So he got to have the two things tied together, the Brighton and the Utica Community School things tied together. And you just, and he was he was at Michigan State University, and he had told me, through admissions, he said, Tim, when somebody is looking to come to a school, they're a prospective student, but the moment they graduate, they forever represent the university. Yeah. So the president of the university, or Kettering University, now he has, to your point, Tom, 3 additional people who well represent what Kettering is all about. I love good conversation, but it goes fast. And I wanted to ask you too this, if you guys could come up with something that is, an awesome thing that just kind of stands out. And I'm sure over the years, there's a lot of things that stand out, but just something that would describe to somebody that's listening on the radio now, what's really special about First. And just it's the moment that we kind of live for.
So go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say what we were talking earlier, the Macomb last year.
Macomb Community College hosted an event.
Austin. One man team. Brian and I just fell in love with this kid, right, Brian?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, how everybody fell in line to help this kid.
We do a rookie meeting at our competitions. And so we got all these rookie teams. It was a rookie team, and he showed up, and we asked him if the rest of his team was going to come or not. And he just kind of looked at us and said, I'm the only one. We said, great.
So his team started out bigger and people fell off, or and
Yep.
yeah, because I've heard that
Yeah.
kind of thing before. And
Yep.
it's so for somebody who's listening here, tell them about how the people in that event rally around somebody, because I've seen it, but describe that.
Well, it started off that when he would get up and instead of saying his team number, we would just say, "Hey, it's Austin." And we've done this before in the past, I'll be honest. Murray, right?
Yeah, Murray.
Murray. Anyways, this year it was Austin, and people started asking us, what's the deal with Austin? And we would tell them. But
yeah, there was several members on the team and a couple of teachers. People just got disinterested. One teacher changed jobs, another one quit. And they go, well, I guess the team's done. And he goes, no, I'm going to build a robot.
he was determined.
So, and then he did. Did they do relatively well did they make it through to the Alliance, or I should say did they make it to Alliance selection?
I think he got 3 awards.
Yes.
He got 3 awards.
Wow.
Yeah. He got one of the rookie awards. I don't remember. Highest seeded rookie. And was
rookie inspiration?
I don't remember which one. I think it was rookie all-star actually. And
okay.
then was he on the winning alliance?
Yes, he was on the winning alliance. He got picked.
So he's on the winning alliance, and this one-man team then becomes how much more inspiration could we do for that particular student and everybody else in the building to get to see that? And
I got to say, a lot of people came out of the woodwork to help him. And I don't think you can forget the Livonia Warriors did a tremendous amount to help him out and get him resources. But other teams as well. I call them out because they were very, very present. But a lot of teams came out and just did whatever they could to help him out.
Yeah. So I wanted to let you guys share that. I know that probably pushed me a little bit over on my time, but I really wanted to hear that. And that's the kind of thing that really makes first. And to Tom's point, we will get to the point where we get to be back in person and celebrating. And we'll make sure you get your 25-year pin, Tom, whether it's in the 26th year or what, but we will make sure you get that. I want to tell you guys, I appreciate your time for everything you do for First, just for being the way that you guys are, for donning your shirts that I specifically requested that you guys wear for the interview. For those who are seeing us on Facebook, this is how you see Tom and Brian at an event. I wear a Judge Blue shirt and they wear these cool Hawaiian shirts. So I want to thank you guys again for your time and for all that you do for First. I look forward to seeing you guys in the future at an event. Again, this is Tim Dunai, Robotics Roundtable, Tuesday at 6 p.m. If it's Tuesday, please join us. We'll be back in a little bit to talk with the CW Tech Team 2959. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to Robotics Roundtable on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM. I am your host, Tim Dunai. We meet here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. to discuss high school robotics with teams from the Southwest Michigan area. You can also catch any Robotics Roundtable discussion you've missed on WSJM.com as a podcast or see the video of our discussion on WSJM's Facebook page. Today, we are joined by the CW Tech team from, I've listed it here as many cities, but I'm going to say it's a community-based team from Northern Berrien County. Would that be fair to say, guys?
I think so.
Excellent. In the world of First Robotics, every team has an assigned team number, and this is team 2959. Wave for everybody on the Zoom meeting. This is the CW Tech Robotarians. Thank you guys for taking the opportunity to get together with us. It's robotics season, so it's always a chaotic time of year, even though it's a little bit different this year, and we'll talk about that, how it's different this year. But I want to start things off by letting you guys introduce yourself, and we always go ladies first. So Sophia, Evie, one of the two of you.
Hi, Tim. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Evie. I'm a senior at Michigan Lutheran High School, and this is my 4th year on the team.
And how many years overall with robotics?
6 now.
Okay. Sophia?
Hi, my name is Sophia. I'm a junior at Bridgman High School, and this is actually my 1st year of robotics.
Very good. Very good. Riley?
I'm Riley. I'm a junior at Coloma High School, and this is my second year with the team.
Okay. And one of those people has to kind of help keep things all together, our mentor tonight.
Hi, my name is Pat Glotzbach. I've been associated with Team 2959. This is my 10th year, I think.
Wow. Did you get a special pin for 10 years, Pat?
I'm waiting for the competition. I assume they'll hand it out there. Yeah.
Very good. Waiting for a competition. I mean, that's one of the hooks about being involved with robotics. And this year's a little different. We're doing this in a virtual space. We've had Evie's had the opportunity to be on Robotics Roundtable in the past, and we get everybody together at the radio station and come together. So we've learned to adapt into a different space and how to do things. Tell me a little bit about how things have changed for the team this year to be able to, I guess, Pat, start as a mentor. I mean, going, okay, how do we put our hands around what we're going to do as a mentor to still make sure the students have these great opportunities?
Yeah, certainly. We started actually the first week after the last competition in St. Joe. So right about 1 year ago today. And we wanted to keep this going, make even last season meaningful. So we set up a set of rules, tried to stay abreast of what the health department was telling us to do, and not knowing where it was heading, we tried to adapt those rules, always hoping for in person again, but just tried to keep a cadence of virtual at the very least. Did that throughout the end of the season, a little bit over the summer, and then we were ready to go in the as the season started. We had our kickoff meeting. A little bit different than normal, but we still had a kickoff meeting and we dissected the game just like we normally did, and have carried on our season. I feel like I laugh, say we relaxed. We only meet 5 nights a week. We take Friday nights off. So it has been a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, so let's face facts. I mean, at this point in time, if we were trying to do a meeting, yeah, you guys would still be, okay, we've competed one competition and now we got to get ready for the next. It's a whole different world. I'm curious, Riley, I mean, so your first season, I don't want to dwell on it too much, just a little bit about though, your first season would have been last year, correct?
Yes.
So you got to go to the competition in St. Joe and then things are done. How did you have enough interest after that first competition to go, I definitely want to keep doing this?
Oh yeah. After that first competition, I just fell in love with being in that situation. Like even though I wasn't really that involved with everything, I still just taking data with other teams and meeting those people that have similar interests with you. It's something you don't get anywhere else.
Sophia, so what is the hook? This is your first year. How did how were you drawn into this? Did somebody on the team recruit you? Tell me a little bit about how you got involved.
Well, as you know, like we're made up of a lot of small places. Since I'm from Bridgman, there's only one other kid from Bridgman on the team. And he was really desperate to like get someone else from Bridgman back on because we don't have an engineering program anymore. And if we don't have any more people from Bridgman, then we'll probably fade out of the team like forever. So he just kept badgering me to do it. And he was like, you get to do science things. And I was like, oh, I like that. That's fun.
So not having been able to go to the competition, I mean, because you'll hear people who've been around that they've been to a competition. There's still been enough interest, enough to pique your interest to say, okay, look, I want to keep doing this?
Yeah, I still think that there is. Specifically this year, it's sort of like almost a different perspective because I'm not focusing on what's different. I'm focusing on like what is. So I really like to control and manipulate details and like just try to like standardize things and like quality control sort of stuff. So I'm very much like focusing on how we can do that this year instead of like lamenting almost, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. And that's why I said, I don't want to dwell on it too long. It's a part of why we're here and every team has a unique perspective on it. Evie, you've been a part of, quite a bit of success that's been involved. But I know you also, you try to drive out, how can we continue to improve on things and make it better? So both as the team members and as the mentors, How did you see that all of you could take ownership and try to, improve upon what you've done in the past to make it better moving forward through this year?
Well, first is all about overcoming challenges, whether that be on the field or off. So I think we took to it pretty naturally to just try to overcome what came at us this year. Like, obviously we've got to work on social distancing and all that at our meetings, but our mentors have done a great job of ensuring our safety. So a lot of the things that we've done this year have been different, like in particular for our chairman's stuff, which is all outreach projects for robotics. Usually we like to go and visit places and do robot demonstrations, but this year we've been working through like virtual events, and we also hosted a blood drive. So we're trying to kind of work with the times.
And those are probably things that the team can take from, you're a senior, but moving forward, the team can take from those and say, hey, these worked well. Outreach things that are slightly different than the norm, than gathering everyone together. I truly missed this past summer not being able to be at Berrien County Youth Fair, being down at the Mini Maker Fair. And it's the fun piece for, I think, all of us that have been around for a while, is to have somebody walk up that knows nothing about and spends 10 minutes talking with the teams, and they walk away like, where has this been hiding my entire life? That's a great moment when that gets to happen. So we want to talk a little bit more about the team this year and some of the things they're doing. And I've got a list of things that the mentors, Mr. Russell, had sent to me, and everybody who knows on this call, Mr. Russell's kind of very organized. So he sent me the organized list of what we should cover. Pat, let's talk a little bit about maybe some specific things here with each of the students, and let's talk about power cell analysis.
Yeah, we had lots of fun this year trying to find different things that we could focus on. And a lot of the years you have game pieces and you don't really get to control, how things are going to be inflated or how they wear. But this year we got to thinking about that, and we do have some control over that. So we challenged Sophia to work with another mentor who is trained in Six Sigma analysis techniques. And we said, let's look at those power cells. Let's see if we can start classifying how power cells are, just besides they're round and they're yellow. So I'll pass it to Sophia for a few more details.
So Sophia, tell the people who are not aware what a power cell is, what it means in our game and what it is probably in the real world. And then also mentioned the mentor that you've been working with, the Six Sigma background.
So essentially a power cell is a dodgeball. It's soft, it's porous. When you squish it, it becomes like slightly heavier because of all that compressed air. Sorry, I think it cut out for a minute.
That's fine.
Yeah, but and normally in a normal game, power cells are just sort of like scattered around, from my impression. Like it lands somewhere and you pick that thing up. Like you don't control which ones you use. You don't control if they've been run over by other teams. You don't control if they have like any wear and tear or if they shoot well. You just pick that sucker up. This year, what gives us, like, we sort of find a unique advantage in the fact that we're only allowed to use 3 power cells in the shooting portion. Like we're allowed to use those ones over and over. So we're allowed to pick out our best 3. And our best 3 isn't necessarily which ones hit the target necessarily. It's the ones that are the most consistent. It's what I've learned is that it's a lot easier to adjust the robot in terms of shooting than it is to adjust, your power cell in terms of whether it lands where you want it or way over there, and like how consistent it is. So what we ended up doing was we ended up, it was the first day, and we ended up weighing each of them and weighing them while they were being compressed and then deflated, and taking down what the weights were listed as. And you find that some of the stronger ones, they have like more pressurized air in them, so their red is heavier and they move, a little bit more forcefully after they like come out of the shooter. And it was like my first day. I was the new kid. I was playing on my graphing calculator with those numbers, as a cool kid does to make friends. And we realized, like, hey, there's actually a correlation between like accuracy and our weight measurements. So basically, we started working through and we came up with our own measurement system with which we could find like the which balls would be best for use within competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then now this becomes the study and analysis to then bring that into how can we improve our operations. I mean, for a very brief description, it's take what's out there, what we're dealing with, and how can we use that to our advantage, that information, that knowledge. Real quick, who's the person, the mentor that you've been working with on that?
Melissa Burchell.
Okay. Very knowledgeable person. Very knowledgeable person.
Yeah.
So Riley, tell me a little bit. I've got this note here, and actually I'm going to have to ask Mr. Glassbach this, because we have autonomous path programming, which I'm sure Riley's going to tell us all about, but then it says and bling, and I got to know what and bling is.
Well, let me set that up for you. But bling has been for years. I've been trying to come up with ways to have your robot stand out. Maybe it's visually, and being an electronics person, I always liked lighting it up different ways. But early shout out to Dave Goodenough. If there's an ounce left of weight, we haven't put enough features in it yet, and so bling always got cast aside. But so we invented a term called bling with a purpose. So bling that offers something back to the team or to other teams has a purpose, and that is a function, and therefore was tallied in the weight limit too. So I'll let Riley describe what we did this year and last.
If the purpose is just the fact that Mr. Glatzbach got bling on, then we're good to go.
Yeah.
Riley, tell me a little bit about autonomous path programming, and maybe for anybody who's listening, let's just tell people what autonomous is first.
So in a typical competition, you would have autonomous and teleop. Autonomous is where the programmers will put a set code in the robot so that every time the robot does the same program. And teleop is when a person actually controls it with the joystick and everything.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about then the path programming, autonomous path programming piece, because now we're going off the code that's been generated, and there's decisions that are being made because of sensors. So tell me about the path programming.
So initially we were just gonna have the robot go, and then it would stop and turn whenever it needed to. But with the pathing program, we can just have the robot go, and it moves in one fluid motion. It can go straight and then turn and go around any obstacles or pick up any balls that it needs to. And there's also sensors on the robot to detect, because there's several different options. So the robot needs to detect where it needs, like which path it needs to run.
Okay. So I can't remember, are one of you guys drivers also?
No, not in this group. We have wasn't able to attend tonight. Sorry.
That's okay. So I'm just curious, so the programming piece, are you involved in talking with you have to educate the drivers and operators on what you've given them. So tell me a little bit about how you do that to make sure they understand the tool set you've given them.
Well, most of the time the programmers we have to deal with whatever their drivers want to do. It's not the other way around.
Really?
Yeah.
Some years, yes.
I was gonna say, you should stand pat on that. Sorry, Pat, but you should stand firm on that. Okay, Riley, you're the programmer. Make sure that the drivers understand it's your machine. But so then you've learned then to work with the drivers and operators to take what that they want, and now you have to create the code that makes the machine do what they want, correct?
Yeah, it's pretty much if they want something changed, then we know how to do that. So we go and we change whatever it is that needs to be changed.
Pat, it sounds like you should have been talking to the programmers the whole time to get that bling incorporated there.
So. Yeah, we worked hard. I'll add one thing Riley said about, listening to what the driver needs, and we've tried to do a lot of that. The driver is, interfacing closest to the robot, and we thought that you would for sure want to drive it with this joystick, but we listened to Bryce, and last year implemented a totally different way because that's what he was comfortable with. And I think that's where Riley was saying, let's be attuned to the driver's needs and make it the best for them possible.
Kind of there's nobody happy unless the driver's happy. How about that for
That's
a moment?
right.
And Bryce probably will just love hearing that. So we didn't get a chance. I wanted to talk with Evie about the Chairman's Award. You mentioned it earlier on. Tell us about the Chairman's Award, what that is, and Dean's List. You've been recognized as a Dean's List student in the past, and and Bryce is nominated this year. So tell us a little bit about Chairman's Award and Dean's List.
So the Chairman's Award is the most prestigious award given in all of FIRST, and it's all about your team's outreach. So FIRST isn't just about the robots. It's really important that teams can spread their knowledge and share the whole robotics experience with other people. And whether that means you're recruiting new team members or starting FIRST teams at other schools, or even bringing your robot to an extended care facility, it's just about sharing what you love and hopefully teaching people.
Very good. Dean's List, mention a little bit about Dean's List. You've been recognized as Dean's List student. What is that?
Dean's List is kind of the one individual award given by FIRST. It recognizes a student that is a good leader for advocating STEM in their community, and also it's important to have good technical skills. So it's a lot of stuff like that. It's just a student that really embodies what FIRST is about.
And I will add, the Dean's List is, Pat, you know this, it's nominated by the mentors and the team members. So all those things that you talked about, Evie, but it's somebody else recognizing that. It's not somebody raising their hand and saying, hey, I should be the Dean's List nominee. And then also, it's worth recognizing there are only 10 throughout the world. And actually now, because we went to 2 championships, there's 20. But in the state of Michigan last year, or year and a half ago, it was now, there were only 14 students. And Evie was one of those students who was selected to go from the state of Michigan to represent the state of Michigan to go to the world competition. So, hats off to you and to all those Dean's List students in the past. Those are usually phenomenal students who end up doing some great things in their career path. I wanted give the students a little bit of time here. We've only got about 5 minutes left, but I want to make sure the students have an opportunity to give a shout out to somebody, a group of somebodies, whoever, that have kind of helped them along the way to get to this point. So we'll start with Sophia. How about you? Shout out.
I'd like to shout out our mentor, Melissa, again, because I only deal in hypotheticals. She's helping me put this stuff into the real world. Like, I can sit there on my own and play with numbers all day, but it means nothing if we don't know how to interpret them. I think that she's really guided me, and not only just specifically in this scenario, like interpreting the numbers, but I think that this is something that is going to be really helpful and continue to work for me someday.
Very good. We'll continue with ladies first. Evie?
I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Russell. He might be listening at OSCO right now or something. He does a ton of work for our team, both on the organizational aspect and just teaching students about different things, whether that's programming or public speaking, anything. He does it all. And he also just coordinated our virtual FTC event, which is huge. So thank you for being you, Mr. Russell. You're awesome. Very
good. Riley, how about you?
I'd actually like to give a shout out to Mr. Glotzbach. He's the mentor that's here. He's really I think that a lot of the mentors can get caught up in the technical side of things, and Mr. Glotzbach is good at making what's already fun for us. It makes it more fun just because he's just a cool person to be around, and he also does good at helping me get involved in things I didn't think I would get to do, like in more electrical side of things.
That's great. Mr. Glotzbach, you need to get on Venmo and you need to send Riley some money.
I was going to say, he read that script perfectly.
That's great.
We've practiced all week on that. Thank you, Riley.
Riley, I thought you were going to say because he's the king of bling, but still. Pat, how about some shout outs that you might have?
Absolutely. I've got to start with my wife, Tracy. For 10 years, she lets me go off and participate in this. And, I dropped organizing summer baseball in a heartbeat once I found out about this. Not that summer baseball is, a bad thing. It's great, but this is something that I know I can help kids, steer towards, STEM education going forward. And we've turned kids into professional engineers, and that to me is the best payback ever. And I think you'll hear that from a lot of mentors. And also, shout out to every one of the mentors on our team. I think we have a great set. It is a collection from all sorts of backgrounds in our community, and they've been a great bunch to work with. And the kids that I've seen over the last 10 years, they're always a riot to be with. It definitely keeps me young and enjoying that. And again, thank you, Riley. That is my goal. What I try to do is explain it, keep it fun, and try to make it real for all of them. So this has been great.
Well stated by all of you. Pat, you and I have known each other a long time. My son came to Whirlpool for a introduction to engineering course. My son is now a mechanical engineer. You've seen him as a judge, so we all live in this world. We continue to grow up, and it's just to see what these students are going to do. When you and I are sitting in a rocking chair retired, I feel very comfortable knowing that Sophia, Evie, and Riley are going to be leading where this world goes. Guys, I want to thank you again for taking the time. I love good conversation. The downside of good conversation is it goes by quickly. I want to say thank you again for being here. Once again, this is 94.9 WSJM Robotics Roundtable. If it's Tuesday at 6 p.m., tune to us on the radio and listen for us on Facebook Live. You guys wave good night to the crowd.
Thank you for joining Robotics Roundtable on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM. If you missed any of today's discussion, you can check out the podcast at WSJM.com. Robotics Roundtable is supported by Berrien Springs Public Schools, together inspiring students to think, learn, achieve, and care in a global community. Cook Nuclear Plant. Explore careers at aep.com/careers. South Haven Public Schools, inspiring success in learning, leadership, and life. And Lakeshore Public Schools, supporting and offering STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Grounded in tradition, committed to excellence.